humanoids and robots, right? I've done a little bit of research, and across India, I hear about 5 or 6 schools across India that might have humanoid embedded in the education system. And we are fortunate enough to have one in Indus, Belgaum. So what's the pilot program about with humanoid? How is it getting kids the use of AI in their education, right, in their learning curriculum? How is it helping? How is it helping them with learn AI better? And is it how do teachers and humanoid coexist within the campus? So tell us more about Eagle, the humanoid within the campus.
So at Indus Altum, we have piloted it for grade 6 to start off with. And the whole purpose of having a humanoid is also for our children to know that we are in an AI world, and if they need to have knowledge, someone needs to have that knowledge vast compared to a teacher. As a teacher, we may not have that vast knowledge which students would want, or students already have that knowledge what is beyond. So the AI, like we mentioned, would be for the knowledge or the content. The teacher, on the other side, would be more of making that content, connecting it to the concept or the wisdom. So that's the whole purpose. So in a classroom, you will have the humanoid, where the humanoid would take the students through the knowledge delivery. Whereas while the knowledge is being delivered by the humanoid, the teacher would go around and see if the child have understood, or are they there, are they in the class, what it is, how is it, and be with the students. After the knowledge has been delivered, then the teacher would have meaningful conversations with the students and connecting that knowledge to concept and wisdom. Even with humanoid, in terms of we have certain assessments also being conducted towards the end. So rather than the teacher going through the mundane work of having assessments, making corrections, and doing analysis, rather than spending that much of time, the humanoid would be doing that and giving instant analysis or data, that where the child is, what does the teacher need to do to support that child. Again, the socio emotional aspect also is going to trickle in at that time. And then the teacher understands in terms of each child is different and unique. So how are we going to pace that information or knowledge or that learning for each child? So it'll become more personalized rather than the teacher just standardizing it. So that's where the humanoid is there in the classroom as
And
well.
that's the perfect example of getting the mundane job of getting
That's the main idea.
getting the
Yeah.
tests conducted and
Yes.
assessments done
Yeah.
within humanoid. So that's perfect example of the replacement of the bot with
Yes.
this. But how are kids? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Go ahead and then.
I was just trying to add what Anjali said. So there's a structure around how a unit or a concept delivery has to happen to help the teachers also, because they are also in the way moving to a different kind of pedagogy that is required. So initially they begin with a self-directed learning, where they read a concept or a topic, and then they give assessment. The students give assessment. So based on the assessment, and it's like a real time assessment data in terms of the students, right? And immediately as they keep on giving the response, the teacher gets to know where an individual student is faltering, or where as a class they have not got the things right. So it also helps the teacher to kind of know, um, uh, in terms of a diagnostic test, I will say, that how do you proceed further from there. And then the content part of it, again, there is a big team in Indus who kind of sits and works on the learning design plan, and the teachers are encouraged to kind of make use of AI, not just one book or one resource, but what you have, see to it that ask the AI to review it, for this particular grade level, for this age level, for this kind of student, is this topic and the content and the delivery okay? So it gets reviewed. Then the content part is fed into the humanoid for a visual and audio content delivery which happens. And during that time, it's not like one person standing and just talking. it has questions and answers in between as well, so students also can ask and the humanoid can also ask, so it's interactive again there. And then there are other stages, a few of them, if you relevant one, if I can capture, is they have STEAM tasks to do. So when we are talking of critical thinking, when we are talking of creative thinking, the children, they apply what they have learned as a content and a concept. Are they able to transfer it in a different situation? So if I have what I have learned in English language, and if somebody is asking me, how do you see this in a math, am I able to present my understanding in mathematical what you call related area. Similarly, for science into history, history into arts. So when the transfer of the knowledge and the understanding they are able to do in a different setup, then it gives us a confidence that the child has learned the concept well. And then towards the end, in the culmination, they have this generative AI discussion where the teacher, the student, and the humanoid is there. And the teacher would start with a prompt, so, and it would not be very, very specific just to the topic. It would be on the concept and the real life application. It would, have perspectives, or and then some bit the student would talk, and then teacher would talk, humanoid would talk, and then they would kind of review and critique on each other's, that how your response has been. So that ways, along with AI, and the main goal and aim is that the children have developed this perspectives and critical thinking, so all this exercise takes them towards that objective.
To add on, sorry, Anjali, go ahead.
Just further to add, why the humanoid is also there is because when a teacher is teaching and she's either making those connections, it's one perspective.
Yeah.
When you have a humanoid there, you have a different perspective. So when you have that generative AI discussion, students see different perspectives, and it's again all together coming up with a perspective. Collaboration is there. So that's why that AI is there. That's what the humanoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
So-
the what you call objective also of the classroom teaching is wisdom. Age level wise, grade level wise, we do understand, but wisdom is a very broad term. Is the child able to apply the knowledge? Is he able to see how in the real world this exists, or it gives them a better advantage or edge of knowing things? So that's what wisdom we're talking about. So because of this, my decision making, my ethical grounding, so all that connections towards the end, when they make, it's very beautiful.
So on a day-to-day basis, a teacher spends around 8 to 9 hours in mundane tasks, like correcting notebooks, teaching them content, giving them assessments, worksheets, correcting and giving feedback. At the same time, she will have, out of 25 students, she will have 25 different styles of learning in the classroom. She's not able to, cater to all those. The introduction of humanoid is to take all those mundane tasks out of the teacher so that she is able to teach the child and not the subject alone. Now, asking the right question, the age of answers is gone. Now it is the age of the right question. You ask the right question, you get the deserved answer. Even in life, it is like that. Without you ask, you are not going to get anything. So in the class, the teacher, along with the humanoid, is encouraging each and every child to ask the right question. And now prompt engineering is also a catching up career. So it's all about, are you asking the right prompt to get the right answer? And it's not about what type of questions, it's always about the how and the why of the question.
So if I may ask you a right
Yes.
question now,
Yes.
since you've been the founding principal of Indus and Miss Anjali also. So there is, in the last 5 years, a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
So when parents come to you and talk about it, you're introducing a humanoid and all this. What is that the questions coming? What are they asking you? And how are you telling them? Because I'm sure there are a lot of parents who are not rightly placed because of their geography, because of that, are they okay to take that transition from a teacher doing a mundane job of doing assessments and somebody, a machine, doing it? Like, on a funny note, I read somewhere else that today we have created robots which are asking humans, are you a human or robot?
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
so how do you, what is that you would want to tell the parents out there, or the aspiring parents of Indus, as to how are you explaining it to them? I am sure it's quite difficult, because while we hear all this, it's so much, and I'm feeling like I'm watching a science fiction movie. The whole scene is coming.
Right.
So how do you explain it to them? What is that in store for them? What is that in store for the teachers? Because considering that India is traditionally deep rooted, I'm sure this country is going to take a little more time and effort
Yeah,
to
definitely.
take this conversion, or the leap, I would say,
Yeah.
leap of faith.
You said the answer also, Vinay. It has not permeated much into the parent community. Forget the parent community, even the teachers have not accepted this fact.
So my question was right.
Yes, your question was right, and I hope you got the right answer as well. That is why Indus has got all these leadership retreats and re-rolling of teachers happening to make them understand that going forward, we cannot have the industrial age model. We cannot have that. It's outdated. And to reach to the parents, it is through schools like Indus that we need to, it's not about talking to the parents, but it is to action it and show them the result. You see, it might take a little bit of time. It is gradual. Any change is going to be gradual, but we'll get there.
So when you say re-rolling teachers, do you mean the teachers are going to change?
Teachers are going to change their style. They're not going to be content deliverers. They need to be conceptually rich. They need to be wisdom providers.
So in that case, I'm being packed, that a lot of parents who come to us and say, oh, the teacher is teaching less, or the teacher is teaching more, the homework are less, or whatever the activities are. So is that the answer to that question, that they are going through the transformation in terms of their ways of teaching? Is that the answer which we should be looking at?
So, what I would take a small example, knowing the demography of our school, that parents always would love to have a very thick book where everything is written by the students. Gone are those days that the books will be filled with book back questions, if I may use that phrase. It's very easy for a teacher to write down the question and the answer, and the children to just copy. But we don't want any copycats. Going forward, we don't want to create copycats. We want children to understand the concept and write in their own words. So as a result, the main challenge that we usually face with our school here, with with the kind of style, is our parents expect a lot of writing. We do appreciate that, but we want more of critical thinking based writing rather than just copying from the board.
I would kind of also like to add to this. Um, in the previous conversation, when we were talking about asking the right question, so parents, like teachers, they see traditional teaching style as a right way to do. So if you look at, children are doing self-directed learning, and then they're doing a humanoid lesson, and they're doing a STEAM, then when are the children learning? And I have a question back to them. What do you think is happening when self-directed learning is happening? What do you think is happening when humanoid is happening?
Yeah.
So parents, I feel, if the objective of education, what do you want your child to be, in terms of not just the grades and the degrees, but in terms of total personality, and individuals who are problem solvers, who are thinkers, when we bring the conversations to those directions, they seem to buy in the idea. But we should also give them time, in terms of the transition. It will be there, and it will have its own pace. And kind of say that they do not understand would not be a right thing to say. But I think slowly they will get there. I think, as rightly said, the first is the teachers. So it's a big task, but an important task, and we have to do it, and we will do it. So
What I
also,
really appreciate about all three of you, Raji and Aparna, which I think is, you've been brave enough
Yeah,
as a school, as individuals, that you know that we need to unlearn
absolutely.
and learn. I think that's the biggest
You said
strength
it
we have.
right, Vinay.
You have a
Learn,
strength.
unlearn, and
Yeah,
relearn.
Relearn.
That's
relearn.
it.
So
Yeah,
I think that's one big,
yeah,
I would say, a confidence level for all
yeah,
parents and students to look at, that
yeah.
that it's not only the student who's learning, even the teachers are learning.
Teachers, yes, definitely.
So you're always up there in
Yeah,
terms of what's happening. I think this goes back to my question, the global scenario. I think Indus is doing it the
yeah,
right way. I
yeah.
think
And we are so proud to be part of this
Yeah.
educational system. Yes, yeah,
Also, just to add, like you said, there are parents saying teacher teaching less or teacher teaching more, and that whole comparison is there. So when we say teachers teaching less or more, it's more on the content bit of it.
Mhm.
So if there's a, again, humanoid in class, the whole thing of teacher teaching less or more wouldn't be there because it's going to be uniform.
Uniform, yeah.
So it's
That's a
not
very
going to be a
strong,
comparison.
yeah, very valid
So
point.
that
Yeah.
is there. And yes, when we say, if again, the whole question of what is going to the teacher going to teach, and it's a change of mindset for the teachers also, it's going to be a change of mindset for parents also to understand that. So that is uniform. The other thing is, when just connecting it with our vision, when we say traditional values, so I think that is where we go back. So when you said gurukul, we're going back to
Cool
this
Gurukul.
cool gurukul, cool gurukul, from
Yes.
gurukul to cool gurukul.
Hmm.
I think when we go back, we go to the values. I think when we say our mission, vision
Yeah.
also says traditional values. So we're going back there and getting out that essence
Yeah,
of why
I
we
can
are
read
here.
it there.
Yeah, you can read it there. So why are we there? Because of those values. I think that is what is more important. So for teachers also, and for students also, for parents also, I think that's what we need to ask. How are they going to be good human beings?
Mhm.
If we are creating leaders of tomorrow, how are they going to make that change? Obviously, that change has to be keeping the human aspect in mind.
So are we eligible for admission now?
Yeah.
Can we
Yes.
join your school?
I mean, it's a sincere request to all the parents that, change is gradual. Change will happen. There is no escape from that. So that is why the school arranges a lot of orientation programs and a lot of awareness program for parents. We would request parents to come and attend those sessions, so that we all partner in, making that change possible.
One thing
Yeah.
I just would want to add, sometimes what happens that when we have this kind of conversation, people, what they interpret out of it is excellence is one side, and all these initiatives, well-being and critical thinking, we are, is on the. So it's not like a pendulum. They both exist together. So when we are looking at data, we are looking at school results, and we're looking at this different new methodologies of teaching. So it's uncompromising on that excellence. So I think that defining the excellence, when we are saying in this new world, Indus has that edge, and we have to build on that edge of excellence along with this new AI, agentic AI, values and everything. So it's not separate things.
Yeah.
No, Rajiv, if I would want to join the school from first day.
In fact, I have people that have come from the U.S. and visited the school, and they're saying that, wow, this is amazing, and they would love to have this type of education. So I think I
May I
agree
ask
with
you, Rajiv, then
Yes.
what aspect did they like the most?
I think the whole I would say the openness, right?
Okay.
And the philosophy that I mean, I think they've met you as well, and there was just the philosophy and the way that you're opening and broadening the teachings, because I haven't seen this in India, and I think when I've born and brought up in the U.S., right? And one thing I appreciated about school there is that there were never any, I think, pre-prejudices that came across. They always taught openness, value
Okay.
others, and I see the same thing happening here at Indus, right? And the teachers are very open. They're very, I think it's a cultural thing, right? Where we haven't seen that, and I think that's fundamentally the factor that